The habit is called lifestyle inflation, or lifestyle creep, and it works like compound interest in reverse. A 2023 study by Empower found that for every 10% increase in income, the average American household increases spending by 9.3%. That means a $50,000 raise produces only $3,500 of actual additional savings per year. The other $46,500 vanishes into bigger houses, leased BMWs, premium gym memberships, and $18 lunches that feel earned. The data is brutal. According to the Federal Reserve's 2022 Survey of Consumer Finances, the median net worth of Americans earning between $80,000 and $160,000 is just $158,000. For people earning over $250,000, the median is $805,000. That sounds like a lot until you realize that someone who saved 15% of a $100,000 salary in an S&P 500 index fund for 20 years would have over $920,000. The high earners are losing the wealth race to math. Thomas Stanley, the researcher behind The Millionaire Next Door, studied over 1,000 actual millionaires and found something stunning. The majority did not earn doctor or lawyer salaries. They earned between $80,000 and $200,000, drove used cars with an average sticker price of $24,800, and lived in houses that cost less than 3 times their income. Meanwhile, the high earners Stanley called income statement affluent looked rich, but had balance sheets that were closer to broke than wealthy. Charlie Munger said it best: "The first $100,000 is a bitch, but you got to do it. After that, you can ease off." Most six-figure earners never get the first $100,000 because they let lifestyle creep eat every raise the moment it hits their account. Here is the part nobody tells you. Lifestyle creep is not a willpower problem. It is a neuroscience problem. Psychologists call it the hedonic treadmill. Researchers Brickman and Campbell first documented this in 1971, and it has been replicated dozens of times since. The finding is consistent. Humans return to a baseline level of happiness within 6 to 18 months after almost any positive financial event. Lottery winners, inheritance recipients, people who got a 30% raise, all of them adapt, then crave more. A landmark 2010 study by Daniel Kahneman and Angus Deaton, both Nobel laureates, found that emotional well-being plateaus at around $75,000 in 2010, which is roughly $105,000 today. Above that, more income does not buy more daily happiness. But almost everyone keeps spending as if it does. That is the trap. Now here is the counterintuitive part most personal finance content gets wrong. The standard advice is just spend less. But behavioral economists like Richard Thaler, who won the Nobel for this work, have shown that white-knuckle willpower fails 80 to 90% of the time over long periods. You cannot outdiscipline a brain that is wired for adaptation. What works instead is what Thaler calls choice architecture. You change the environment, not the willpower. 3 specific moves do the heavy lifting. First, automate the savings before you ever see the money. The 401k auto-enrollment data from Vanguard shows that participation jumps from 36% to 93% when enrollment is the default. The money you do not see, you do not spend. Set your 401k contribution to at least 15% of gross income, your Roth IRA on autopilot at $583 per month to max it out, and a brokerage transfer of a fixed percentage of every raise the same day it hits. Second, use what economists call the Save More Tomorrow plan, designed by Thaler and Shlomo Ben-Artzi. You commit in advance to direct 50% of every future raise into savings before it ever hits your checking account. In their original 1996 study, employees using this plan increased their savings rate from 3.5% to 13.6% in just over 3 years without ever feeling deprived. Third, raise the threshold for what counts as a normal purchase. Buffett still lives in the Omaha house he bought in 1958 for $31,500. He calls it the third best investment he ever made. The point is not the cheap house. The point is that he never let his lifestyle expand to match his net worth, and that is why his net worth could keep compounding. Let us get tactical. Here is the exact step-by-step framework to break lifestyle creep starting this week. Step 1. Calculate your true savings rate. Take everything you saved last year. That includes 401k contributions, both your money and the employer match, IRA deposits, brokerage deposits, and principal payments on your mortgage. Note that interest does not count as savings. Divide by your gross income. If the number is below 20% and you earn over $100,000, you are in the lifestyle creep danger zone. The financial independence community uses 25 to 50% as the target for serious wealth building. Step 2. Implement the 50-30-20 revised rule for high earners. The original Elizabeth Warren rule of 50% needs, 30% wants, 20% savings does not work above 100,000. At those incomes, your needs do not scale. A six-figure earner does not need $50,000 a year in needs. The revised rule is 40% needs, 20% wants, 40% wealth building. Yes, 40%. That is the rate that produces actual financial freedom in 15 years instead of 40. Step 3. Cap your big three. Housing, transportation, and food consume 60 to 70% of the average household budget. Cap housing at 25% of gross income, including taxes and insurance. Cap transportation at 10%, including the car payment, insurance, gas, and maintenance. Cap food at 10%, including groceries and restaurants. If you can hold those three lines, the rest of the budget basically takes care of itself. Step 4. Pre-commit your bonuses. The Federal Reserve found that 73% of bonus money gets spent within 90 days of receipt. Decide before the bonus arrives that 80% goes straight to investments. The other 20% is for celebration. This single rule, applied consistently, can add over $1 million to your net worth over a 25-year career at a $100,000 salary. Step 5. Run a lifestyle audit every January. Pull your full year of credit card and bank statements. Sort by category. Find the 3 subscriptions, services, or recurring costs that have crept in over the last 12 months without adding meaningful happiness. Cancel them. Vanguard estimates the average household has $273 per month in subscription drag. That is $3,276 a year, which compounds to $230,000 over 30 years at a 9% return. Meet Pete Adeny, better known online as Mr. Money Mustache. In 2005, Pete and his wife were both software engineers in Colorado, earning a combined household income of about $134,000. By any standard of their peers in Boulder, that was middle class for engineers. Their colleagues with similar incomes were leasing Audis, taking European vacations, and buying $600,000 houses. The Adenys did the opposite. They capped housing at a $200,000 fixer-upper, drove paid-off used cars, and ate at home. They tracked every dollar in a spreadsheet. They saved roughly 65% of their take-home pay for 9 years. In 2011, at age 38, both of them retired, permanently. They had accumulated about $800,000 in invested assets plus a paid-off house. Living on roughly $25,000 to $27,000 a year, that portfolio sustained them indefinitely under the 4% withdrawal rule established by financial planner Bill Bengen in 1994. Compare that to the typical $134,000 household. According to Bureau of Labor Statistics data, that household saves roughly 8 to 12% of income. At that rate, with a similar starting point, they would not reach financial independence until age 62 or later. The Adenys did not earn more. They simply refused to inflate. The same pattern shows up in the public data. J.L. Collins, Vicki Robin, the Choose FI community of over 100,000 documented members. The 2023 Ramsey Solutions study of 10,000 actual American millionaires found that 79% of them never received any inheritance, and the most common professions were teacher, accountant, engineer, and manager, not surgeon or hedge fund manager. The pattern is unambiguous. Wealth is built by the gap between income and lifestyle, not by income alone. CTA 1213 Min. If you want a video like this every week, breaking down the actual data and frameworks the wealthy use, hit the subscribe button right now and turn on notifications. This channel exists for one reason, to help you keep more of the money you earn and turn it into freedom. The next video drops in 3 days, and it covers the 3 index funds that beat 92% of professional fund managers over the last 20 years according to the SPIVA report. You do not want to miss it. Outro, 1315 Min. Here is the final thought. Wealth is not what you earn. Wealth is what you keep, multiplied by time. Every dollar spent on lifestyle inflation is a dollar that will never compound. At a 9% average return, the historical S&P 500 figure since 1928, every $1,000 you do not spend today becomes $17,449 in 30 years. Every $10,000 becomes $174,494. The expensive car you almost bought last year financed at $700 a month over 60 months, would have been worth over $750,000 in your retirement account if you had bought a $12,000 used car instead and invested the difference for 35 years. The math is not the hard part. The math is settled. The hard part is having the discipline to live below your means in a culture that screams at you to do the opposite every minute of every day. But the people who do it, the millionaire next door, the engineer who retired at 38, the teacher who left behind a $1.5 million estate, all of them tell the same story. Freedom is not a feeling. Freedom is a number. And that number is built one quiet, deliberate decision at a time. Pick one habit from this video. Implement it this week. Your future self is watching. Make them proud. You will learn the hedonic treadmill effect documented by Nobel laureates Daniel Kahneman and Richard Thaler, the Save More Tomorrow plan that boosted savings rates by 290%, and the wealth acceleration framework that turns a $100,000 salary into financial independence in 15 years instead of 40. We also dive into the real case study of Mr. Money Mustache, the software engineer who retired at 38 on a middle-class income. If you want personal finance content built on real data, named investors, and documented case studies, subscribe for weekly videos on investing, wealth building, and passive income. Timestamps: 0000, the shocking stat about six-figure earners. Why this matters for your future: 45 lifestyle creep, the silent killer. 03, the hedonic treadmill and your brain. 06, the wealth acceleration framework. 09, the engineer who retired at 38. 12, subscribe for weekly wealth strategies. 13, final thoughts on freedom keywords. Personal finance, investing, wealth building, financial freedom, passive income, lifestyle creep, FIRE movement, index funds, millionaire habits.